if if you always give the other party everything that they're asking for, you never really get to see if they are in it with you or if they care about you. And so how that could manifest is like in a job type offer situation. This comes up quite a bit. However, the temptation can be for a lot of us to be agreeable, especially in the beginning of a work situation. And then we unknowingly set a very bad and unhealthy precedent for ourselves in that relationship. So when you say even something as small as, hey, I don't want to start on May 15th, I would really prefer to start June 1st for X, Y, and Z reason, or don't even say the reason, and just patiently wait and see what their response to that is going to be. And that will tell you a lot about how they actually are going to care for you and treat you during your employment with that company or under that manager. Welcome to another episode of the Made to Be Great podcast. I am coming, if you're watching this, you'll notice that the background is a little different. I am recording today at my home studio, and I wanted to bring you a little bit more intimate of a message. This week, I'm going to share a few of one of my top kind of like mindset reframe tools and frameworks that have helped me a lot, not only in my career, but also in my personal life. So I'll start off with the one that most recently hit, and that I had some recent situations where I had to remind myself of this. And it goes something like this. If you always give the other party everything that they're asking for, you never really get to see if they are in it with you or if they care about you. And so how that could manifest is like in a job type offer situation. This comes up quite a bit where, you're thinking about changing companies and your new company wants you to do XYZ. They say they want you to start on this date or work in this location or something. So if you agree to everything, and maybe you do because what they're asking you is exactly what you want, although I find that is extremely rare. However, the temptation can be for a lot of us to be agreeable, especially in the beginning of a work situation. And then we unknowingly set a very bad and unhealthy precedent for ourselves in that relationship. So when you say even something as small as, hey, I don't want to start on May 15th, I would really prefer to start June 1st for X, Y, and Z reason, or don't even say the reason, and just patiently wait and see what their response to that is going to be. And that will tell you a lot about how they actually are going to care for you and treat you during your employment with that company or under that manager, because then they're going to have to say, okay, well, I hear what they're saying. This is going to be more helpful to them. And so can I adjust to this? Can I work with this and see how they play it? How they play that will tell you everything that you need to know about their true care and prioritization for you and what you need, not just what they need. So that works in personal relationships, business relationships. It's a very good way to find out, because anybody can look good or seem like they have your back when it doesn't cost them anything. However, when there's a cost or when there's an inconvenience, which could also be labeled as a cost, that's when you really find out, who is this person? Who are they going to be for me? How are they going to respond under pressure and in stress? And so that is something to hold on to, bookmark, and remember when you're in a contract negotiation or even in a newer relationship. That's something to kind of do a micro tests on to see how that goes for you. So I highly recommend that. The next thing is that this affirmation that says, I believe everyone does their best. what that reframe does, and that could be, pick your situation. You're in traffic, somebody cuts you off. I believe everyone does their best. Um, Maybe that person got fired that day, or maybe their spouse left them, or maybe their child got injured and they're on the way to their school to see how they're doing. You don't know what's going on in their world. So the most generous thing you can do for them and for yourself is to say to yourself, I believe everyone does their best. And right now, in that moment, that was the best that they had. And I'm releasing myself from any responsibility for how they acted. And I don't need to respond to it or react to it in any way. I can just let it go. Everyone does their best. Also, everyone's best is a moving target. It might not be the same today as it is tomorrow or 5 minutes from now, because things change, our feelings change. Maybe we didn't eat. Maybe our kids are mad at us. Who knows? I mean, you understand what I'm saying, that you don't feel the same way all the time. So therefore, your best, your free emotional energy is going to be a moving target, and it's not the same all the time. Maybe that person is normally a fantastic driver and they were just having a very bad day and you caught them at that moment. It doesn't mean it's a reflection of who they are or who you even were to them. So if you can tell yourself that in difficult situations, I believe everyone does their best. It's generous to the other person, and it's the most kind thing you can do for yourself, because you're freeing yourself from staying in that negative emotional situation and draining your mental and emotional battery unnecessarily over something you maybe have absolutely no control over or had nothing to do with. So that affirmation, I believe everyone does their best, can really help your life. Trust me, I've gone through seasons where I use that a ton and seasons where I have used it less. And I can tell you it drains your battery much more on times where you're not using this affirmation that everyone does their best. So the other thing is, this is something that I use in my business life all the time. And it was a great reframe for me personally when I had to share not optimal news. Things like, in my world, hey, the house that you're buying, it didn't appraise for what you offered to buy it for. And so for many people, that is a very stressful and uncomfortable conversation, because it means they either have to renegotiate the contract or they have to ask the seller to help in some way or come up with some additional money. It's usually not a fun conversation. People generally tend to take that out on the messenger. And so how I had a coach years ago tell me how to do this, and I coach and encourage my current teammates to use this same frame of mind, which is, hey, you are just telling the weather. Generally speaking, no one holds the weatherman or the weatherwoman personally liable for what happens with the weather. We may get mad that they missed the forecast, but I'm talking about the actual weather. No one is blaming meteorologist XYZ for the hurricane that we experience. People understand that, like, the weather person didn't make the weather. So readjusting and reframing your mind to, I am here to tell the weather. I am telling it in a kind and a compassionate way. If there is a solution, which there usually is, or some alternative course of action, I'll have that ready. I'll share that from a calm state of mind. And the other thing that you can do, which this applies again probably to many businesses, in my world, what it looks like is telling people at the beginning when we start interacting that, hey, this buying a home, it creates a lot of opportunities for what we call turbulence. And anyone who's ever been on an airplane can respect this analogy. If the pilot gets on the intercom and says, ladies and gentlemen, in a couple of minutes, we're going to come into some rough air. Please please stay seated and keep your seatbelt fastened. And we should be through this in about 15 minutes, or whatever the case is. Then when you feel that turbulence, you might feel uneasy. but you're expecting it. The pilot told you it's coming, and so you're not nearly as afraid as you may otherwise have been if the pilot said nothing and the plane just starts shaking. So in business, where you have the foresight to know, hey, here's a likely period of time or situation we're going to enter in, there's likely to be some turbulence. That way, when the turbulence comes, your client, your customer isn't as upset as they otherwise would be or as afraid of what's actually happening. They're kind of ready for it. So if you're the person, if you're the professional that's guiding that, if you can let them know, hey, there's opportunities here for turbulence. That way, when the turbulence comes and you tell the weather and you're explaining it, then your client is going to say, oh, okay, this is the turbulence that Josh was talking about. Here it is. And he has a plan. So I am a little stressed, but I also know he's probably got it under control. And so therefore they're in a much better frame of mind. So your energy that you hold when you bring the conversation, in addition to the fact that you kind of pre-prepare them for what is likely to happen, that will go a long way to helping your client feel more calm, more relaxed, more at ease from going through those difficult situations. So the other thing that's been coming up to wrap up, this will be a short episode, is something that has been labeled identity. And so a lot of prior coaching work that I have done is having to do with mindset, how you think about things, the frame that you come from, kind of like what I just mentioned right before this about telling the weather. That's more of like a mindset framework, like, hey, I'm telling the weather. I believe everyone does their best. I'm going to not give the other party everything they want right away and see how they respond. Those are more like mindset frameworks. And so I've heard a lot of different psychologists, coaches, other content creators that I follow, all at the same time talking about identity. And the context of that is how you view yourself. Like, do you view yourself as a person who can overcome adversity? Do you view yourself as a person who can tell the weather and their clients and partners remain calm and relaxed? Do you self-identify as someone who performs well under pressure? Do you identify as someone who can handle uncertain situations for an unlimited amount of time? Can you find your peace and your strength from internal sources? And for those of us who are Christians, ultimately, like I am, find our source of peace and calm in God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And so can we find that? And so if you're someone who's not a Christian, you can label that however you want. But those are different identities. And so the issue then becomes, if we don't hold the identity as someone who can do these things, and secretly, deep down, only where we know, we have this belief or identity of, man, I mess up all the time. I actually never come through. I don't keep my word to myself. Then what happens is you start to self-sabotage to make your outcome be in line with that identity. So did you ever wonder why some people just seem to win in any circumstance, or no matter how many losses they take, losses, quote unquote, they stay motivated and positive, and they rest and they come back, and you're like, man, how do they do that? It's their identity. They identify as the type of person who continues to fight and who continues to get up no matter how many times they hit a setback, no matter how many people are laughing at them, no matter how many people in the comments are saying crazy things to them, hurtful things to them. They just say, hey, you know what? I'm just tuning that out. That's noise. That's their issue. I'm not going to take that in. I don't need to pick that up. I'm going to leave that to them. And so these are things that have been on the forefront of my mind that I wanted to share with you about identity. So there's things you can do to help craft your identity. Your identity is being crafted all the time, whether you know it or not. The things that you listen to, the stuff that you look at on social media, the friends that you have, the amount of time you spend with friends, these are all things that are impacting your identity, and your identity therefore then impacts how you do things, how you respond to things, how you come back from a bad day or from a bad situation. For example, I'm recording this episode in my home studio tonight because my office, the air is broken. It's very hot in there, where my normal studio is. And so I could say, hey, I can't record this week. Or I can say, hey, I've got a nice setup at home. Here I am. I'm just doing my thing, recording an episode, and you can adjust, you can move, and you can continue to get things done even under adversity. And that is what separates the people who win long term to the people who don't win long term. I've heard it said there's a great, for the real estate agents listening to this, and a lot of lenders know this too. Keller Williams, which is one of the best training companies in the real estate game, have been for quite some time. They had this thing, I think they still may have it, I'm not sure. You can comment if you know the answer to that. They had this course called Keller Williams Bold, and it was like a 7 or 8 week intensive coaching thing. And there was all kinds of sayings from it. And I think it was a compilation of things from a lot of other places. And so this probably is not an original source, but this is the first time I remember hearing it. And it was something like, you can have reasons or results. And so what that kind of is saying is like, hey, you can have excuses like reasons why you can't do it: traffic, air conditioning broke, got a flat tire, whatever, fill in the blank. Or you can have results. You can overcome whatever those obstacles are, even if it takes you longer, even if it doesn't look as pretty, you can get the results by just continuing to move forward. So what is your identity? Are you someone who has claimed the identity of getting the results no matter what, no matter how tired you are, no matter how broken and bloody and bruised you might be, physically or metaphorically? Are you going to hold the identity of that type of person who just presses forward and presses forward and presses forward, that people look at and they say, wow, how do they do that? One of the things that I think is the highest, coolest compliment is when people ask me that, and I can say, hey, it's because of the Lord. Honestly, I lean on him, and because my strength is finite and his is not. His picks up where mine ends. And again, like everyone listening to this, I am not perfect. I have my good days and bad days, my good weeks and bad weeks. But at the end of the day, that's what I strive for. And I try to always lean on where I need to lean on, which for me is the Lord. If you're listening to this and have a different faith belief, that's fine. But that's where I'm just sharing my life and my beliefs. So anyways, these are some things that have helped me, different mindsets and frameworks. And identity is a topic I probably will do some more podcast episodes on, because of how impactful I think it is and how much I think it's subconsciously affecting things that we do, things that we say, things that we don't do or say. Are we not trying things because we're not taking on the identity of someone who tries new things? Are you someone who's friends when you say something, hey, I want to try this new sport or new hobby or new profession? Do they say, oh man, you shouldn't try that, it's too risky, or oh, I can't see you doing that? Or do you have people saying, yeah, you should totally try that? Like, here's a coach you could hire. Here's a podcast you can listen to. Here's a book you can read. Here's a tip that I heard. Or hey, let me introduce you to my friend so-and-so. They're great at that. Maybe they can help you along in your journey, and they hype you up and they encourage you. Not just hype like fake hype, but actual genuine like care and hype and help to help you get to that thing. Those are the type of friends and the type of people that you want to hang on to, because they are rare. And also, if you have the other type of friend that I mentioned first, don't take that personal. Don't take that in. That's their thing. and you don't have to own that. You can let them have it, but you keep doing the things that you want to do. Try the things you want to try, especially if you're listening or watching this and you're young and you're not married yet, and you don't have kids yet. This is the time to try new things. Try that new career. Try that new hobby. Travel. Do things that you're not sure that you're going to love, because hey, why not try it? You might love it, you might not. And I also would say, I'm in my mid 40s now. If you're in your mid 50s, I've been reading so many things that talk about like this is the time where a lot of people change careers or do something different. And so don't feel like if you're having that urge, you've been doing something 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and you're like, man, what's next? What's next? What else could be possible for me? To quote a guest I had on recently, Jared Sebesta. Shout out to Jared. Thanks for joining the podcast. And what else is possible for you? Those are the type of identities that you want to hang on to now and into the future, so that you can have a rich life filled with memories and cool things. And hey, if you try stuff and it doesn't work out, it'll be a funny thing to laugh at later. Don't be that person who's 70, 80, 90 years old and all they have is regrets. I'd rather have memories of times I bombed something because I thought it was going to be great and it flopped and I adjusted and tried to something else. The fastest way you can get to something awesome is act. Act, reflect, adjust. Act, reflect, adjust, act. And so many people, they plan, and they never execute because they're trying to get to the best plan. And the problem is with that is that when you take action, you get feedback, and feedback tells you, are you on the right track or are you not on the right track? And a lot of times we can be building this perfect plan. It is not tested by anything. And then we roll it out a year from now, 6 months from now, and maybe it flops, and you spent all this time and you could have made a couple quick adjustments and had this great product or this great business. So take the risk, take the action, be humble enough to adjust and refine and grow and hire coaches and read books and listen to podcasts and enroll good people in your life to tell you the truth about what's going on. Those are the identities that you want to hang on to that's going to build you an amazing life. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Made to Be Great podcast, where we hope that you reach greatness, however that is defined by you. We want to continue to engage in conversations that spark growth. Thanks again for tuning into the show.
You were made to be great. Don't settle for less. You were made to be great. Don't settle for less. You were made to be great. Don't settle for less. You were made to be great.